Some also suspect that the plane was hijacked and taken to a military base on the island of Diego Garcia.
It was understood at the highest levels that this was almost certainly murder-suicide by the pilot.
The team is unable to determine the real cause for the disappearance of the MH370.
Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 was an international passenger flight operated by Malaysia Airlines that disappeared on 8 March 2014 while flying from Kuala Lumpur International Airport in Malaysia to its planned destination, Beijing Capital International Airport. The plane took off at 12:41 a.m. and the last point of contact was over the South China Sea, but primary radar record shows that the plane turned back to Malaysia when contact was lost and the plane's communications equipment was turned off, meaning that the plane wasn't visible on civilian radar. Data, however, also showed that the plane turned around the island of Penang and headed across the Inland Sea and was actually picked up by military radar. A common question which has been asked is why the Malaysian military, who tracked the plane for close to an hour, didn't deploy any jets for further investigation, seeing as they couldn't communicate with the plane. Now, top military officials have stated that Malaysia's US and Russian-made fighter jets stationed at Air Force bases in Penang and the east coast of Kuantan were not scrambled because the plane was not viewed as being hostile. And I'm guessing with regards to this, it would pretty much depend, from military to military, country to country, whether jets will just be deployed immediately for a circumstance like this. Now, as I understand it, even though all communications were switched off, the plane did emit a type of ping from its engines, which were picked up every hour by satellites until it reached its destination. And it's kind of like an electronic handshake. Now, with regards to these pings, the data stopped when the plane crossed what is known as the 7th arc, and it is assumed that the plane is somewhere in the southern Indian Ocean. And this consequently led to the biggest search in history, which was led by Sir Angus Houston. Now, as can be expected, there have been numerous theories about what happened to flight MH370, and these range from black holes, a possible Bermuda Triangle type situation, aliens, obviously. And some also suspect that the plane was hijacked and taken to a military base on the island of Diego Garcia. And, but probably the most common one is that there is some sort of political cover-up. Now, the pilots involved in flight MH370 was a Captain Zaherie Shah and a First Officer Farid Hamid. Now, a lot of these political cover-up theories include Captain Zaherie Shah, and many people believe he was responsible as some sort of political protest, as he was a distant relative of the country's opposition leader, Anwar Ibrahim, who was actually convicted of sodomy a day before the flight of MH370. Shah was 53 years old, a father of 3 and a grandfather, and he also had a home flight simulator, which we'll get to in a bit. Now, what makes this whole situation even more mysterious is that according to Whisper technology, which is basically a type of tracking technology, there was a 22-minute holding pattern done by the plane 2.5 hours after takeoff. Now, basically, a holding pattern is an oval type course flown by aircraft awaiting further instructions. Now, the speculation is that while the plane was in this holding pattern, some sort of negotiations were busy taking place. However, aviation experts have also stated that, however reputable this Whisper technology is, only the plane's flight recorder can conclusively determine whether or not the plane did indeed go into a holding pattern. To make matters more interesting, the former Prime Minister of Australia, Tony Abbott, stated that top levels of the Malaysian government understood that this whole situation is most likely a murder-suicide by the pilot, and that this was communicated to him.
It was understood at the highest levels that this was almost certainly murder-suicide by the pilot.
Now, this was denied by the Malaysian government, but strangely enough, the wife of one of the victims of flight MH370 met with the wife of the Prime Minister of Malaysia, and she basically communicated the same thing to her.
I also met with the Malaysian Prime Minister's wife a month after this happened in Perth, and she believed that the pilot had taken the plane.
In 2018, the Malaysian government released its final report on the matter.
The team is unable to determine the real cause for the disappearance of the MH370.
Now, to add to the cover-up theory, as mentioned before, Captain Zaherie Shah had a home flight simulator. And 7 days after the flight went missing, the Malaysian police found practice runs into the southern Indian Ocean, which were done about a month before the flight took place. Now, this discovery was never made public until it was leaked 18 months later. Now, it has also been stated that these flight simulation results have been greatly exaggerated, and Shah's family has also come out and said that he was basically made the scapegoat in order to absolve Boeing and Malaysia Airlines from taking the blame. Another theory is that the plane went into a death dive and that the captain was probably dead as the plane corkscrewed into the ocean. Leading aviation consultant Byron Bailey subscribes to the glide theory, as he believes the plane was ditched more south. He also believes that that is why no evidence has been found, because it's outside of the search zone.
They've already searched 250,000 square kilometres over 4 years, and what that's proved is where the aircraft is not.
So far, pieces of debris confirmed to have been from flight MH370 have been found on the African coast and across islands in the Indian Ocean. Now, there are also people that believe that the debris which has been found was actually planted at these locations in order to throw people off the truth, whatever the truth is. There are also people that believe that the Malaysian government does not want this plane to be found in order to save face. To add to the mystery, in 2020, Ean Higgins, the author of The Hunt for MH370, went missing without a trace, and his whereabouts are still unknown. Until the plane is found, the truth behind what happened to flight MH370, along with the 239 people on board, will most likely remain a mystery.